Okay, got French bread going in the oven, and now I'm going to show you how to make sourdough bread. The difference in sourdough and most other breads is simply the type of yeast. In this case, you have to make a starter first and capture your own yeast from the wild. And that's what's going to make your bread leaven or rise. With French bread or white bread or sandwich bread, we go to the store and we get the commercial stuff, and that's fine. But there is a truly unique and fabulous flavor to sourdough bread. I love it. And it's incredibly easy to do. To make a starter, and this is where you're going to get the yeast that's going to stay forever and ever in your kitchen as long as you take care of it and give you bread. Love it. All you have to do is get a clean container. Make sure it's glass or plastic. I love using little mason jars. You can see what's going on in there. They have little lids and you can poke a hole in it if you need to, because they do need to breathe later. And put a cup of flour and a cup of warm water in here and stir it up. That's it. You've made a starter. You set it on the counter and keep it in a warm spot. And by warm, it just means room temperature. For a sourdough starter, it's really hard to kill it off. If you let it get too hot, that'll do it. Otherwise, once a day, while you're waiting on the right thing to happen for your wild yeast, I'll tell you what that is in just a second, all you got to do is pour off half of it, put in a fresh half cup of flour and a fresh half cup of warm water, stir it up, and walk away. So think of it this way. You're after wild yeast. You want to set up the right conditions for them to come land in your jar, and you want to make sure that you keep fresh food and water in there for them in case you catch them. Now, you know that you've caught them when you get this on top of your starter jar. You see how we've got it bubbly? Now, I have just stirred him up, but hang on just a second, let me grab the other one that hadn't been stirred. You see him? See, I've got two. You see how that's gotten kind of puffy and foamy on top? And the other indication, smell it. You can actually smell it, and it smells like sourdough bread. There is a little soury, acrid kind of thing there. That actually the first time a few days ago, I caught my starter yeast and I was so excited, and it made the little glands and couldn't wait. All right, so we've got sourdough starter, and it's really simple to get it going. But once you have gotten it going, you got to get ready to make your bread. This is also really, really simple. What we're going to do, take our starter, and he just goes in a big clean bowl. Now, I like to think of starters as you've caught fairies. And the reason is, they're going to live in your refrigerator. They're going to give you bread. You do have to feed them. And they don't like metal, just like in the Victorian fairy stories. All right. Now, the next step, once you've got your starter going and you're ready to start making your bread, you need to proof your sponge. Okay, that sounds really fancy. Is my oven about to go off? Okay, don't worry about it. It sounds really fancy. A sponge is simply a warm batter that's fermenting. So you might have used beer, or you might have used commercial yeast, or you might have used sourdough. If it's a batter consistency, if it's warm and it has yeast, it's a sponge. Proofing simply means you're going to get your yeast going. This is all you do for that. A cup of flour and a cup of water. And you notice for starting and proofing both, we're still on 2 ingredients, flour and water. Now, when I lived on the West Coast, it took about 10 days for my sourdough starter to catch the yeast and go where I wanted. Here in Tennessee, it took about 36 hours. Different parts of the country have different strains of wild yeast, and that is why different stages of this process take different amounts of time. But it doesn't matter. It's still extremely simple. Now, I will be back in just a minute. I've got French bread ready to come out, and that is simply going to sit in a warm place until it's ready. All right, so we waited around until our sponge, which is the warm batter with yeast in it, has proofed, which just means that the yeast has gotten active and bubbly. Active and bubbly. See? And again, you can smell it. It smells like sourdough bread, which I just think is the coolest thing ever. I mean, you mix flour and water. I mean, it's paste, for God's sake. Stick it on your counter, and magic. I love it. All right, so when you've got this at this stage, you're ready to make the bread. But there is a very important step. I've done this several times. Don't do that, what I do. Make your starter for the next batch of bread. All you do is get your little jar out again, and you want a half a cup of warm water and a half a cup of flour. And to that, you're going to add 1 cup of your sponge. Now, I like these little jars because they're all pre-measured and marked. Little pints with 2 cups, and I know that's it. So I'm stirring him up, and by tomorrow, this sponge will be where this sponge is today. Now, I'm done with bread baking for the next few days, so what I'm going to do is put a lid on both of these. They're going to go in my refrigerator with a couple holes poked in the lids, because they do need to breathe. Remember, they're alive. You got your fairies in there. Okay? So then they'll park. The cold is not going to hurt them. If you don't use them for a while, what you have to do is, say a week goes by and you haven't made bread and you're not going to, pour off half of your starter or put it in a jar for somebody else. Feed both starters, or get rid of one if you don't need it. Stick it back in the fridge. That's it. And remember to feed it half a cup of flour and half a cup of water. That's it. Alright, so over here we got ready our stuff to make our bread. Now, this, and I know I said no metal. It doesn't count when you're at this point. You're okay now. You can use metal. It will react oddly when you're keeping your starter or proofing your sponge, but at this point, you're good. Now, to this, and that's about 2 cups of starter. It doesn't matter, because remember, flour is very variable. It will absorb differently on different days, so we're after a texture and a look instead of an exact amount. So we've got about 2 cups of starter. We have 2 tablespoons of sugar, and remember, sugar will feed yeast. They love it. Salt, about half a teaspoon. It simply makes it taste good. But don't use too much salt, because you'll retard the action of the yeast. The cool thing about making your own bread, if you like it a little sweeter, add more sugar. I've seen recipes that calls for 3, 4, 5 tablespoons. It's too sweet for me. I like the savory better. Now, about half a cup at a time, I'm going to add about 3 cups of flour. It's that whole 5-to-3 ratio thing for classic bread baking. Now, the difference with this and a regular loaf of bread is I'm going to ease this into the batter. Lumps were no big deal when you're dealing with your starter, when you're proofing your sponge. They will work out, but you really don't want them at this point. So give your batter time to incorporate the flour. And that's all I'm going to do. You see it at this stage? Come here. See when it starts getting there? About like that. Add a little bit more. Say half a cup. And that's it. I'll be back in a minute and show you what it looks like. Now I've got about 2.5 cups of flour, and it looks about like this. And this is we're going to add our final ingredient. This is when we're going to add our final ingredient. I've got about 2 tablespoons of just olive oil. You can use any kind of oil you want. You can use butter. You can use lard. You know, you can skip the oil. You're going to incorporate a little bit of oil later on as the bread rises in an oiled bowl. Now the oil makes it have a very strange texture for a few minutes. Be patient. Keep kneading. See? It's gotten lumpy. Let me show you that close. See here? Very sticky too. So what I'm going to do is probably give it about a 1/4 cup. I'm going to let it finish kneading. Let's see, where's my flour? There we go. I'm going to finish kneading him up and show you the texture you're looking for to let it rise.